Have you ever promised yourself you would change a habit only to slip back into the old pattern a few days or weeks later? I know I have. You're not alone. Many of us know what we want to change, and yet we struggle to make those changes stick. The missing ingredient may not be willpower or discipline, it may be intention. What if your intention can shape your health, your habits, even the material world around you? We're going to talk about that today, how you can use the power of intention to stop drifting through life and start steering your course with purpose. So let me start by giving you an analogy. Let's imagine you're home one night and the power goes out. Everything is dark. You can't see a thing, but you have a flashlight within easy reach. So you turn on the flashlight, and as you move through your home, the only thing you can see is what is illuminated by the beam of the flashlight, and everything else disappears into darkness. Our attention works the same way. We focus our attention on one thing and then another. It may seem like you're paying attention to a lot of things at one time, but your brain cannot do that. Right now, you're listening to this video, but in a moment, you may feel the urge to scroll on, or you may be distracted by a noise around you, and then your attention may come back to the video. Our attention is always shifting. And here's the thing, where our attention goes, our energy follows. Now, that may sound like a woo-woo platitude, well suited to one of those syrupy motivational posters, but a growing body of research suggests that our focused intention may indeed influence the material world around us, and I'm going to give you some examples. In this video, we're going to explore what intention is, the science behind it, and how you can use it to create meaningful change in your life. So when we talk about being able to affect things in the material world through the power of intention, I have to talk about Lynne McTaggart. She is one of the pioneering researchers in this area. You may have heard of her before. She's a journalist and a best-selling author. She wrote the book, The Field, The Power of, or The Intention Experiments, The Power of Eight. And she worked with scientists from leading labs around the world to make sure that the experiments that she was doing followed scientific protocol. And across her research, she has been able to demonstrate over and over again that we can influence things like the pH of water, the speed of seed germination, and even healing leaves through intention. Well, after McTaggart did a bunch of these scientific experiments where scientists could have measurable statistical significance around the results, Lynne decided to turn her attention to something that was not as easily measured as research in a lab, and yet more meaningful for society. So she began a series of peace intention experiments. She did several, including Sri Lanka in 2008, Washington, D.C. and Afghanistan in 2012, and St. Louis in 2017. Let's talk about St. Louis. What she did is she got a group of people together who were willing to participate. They spent 10 minutes every day for 5-6 consecutive days, focused on the intention to reduce violent crime in one neighborhood of St. Louis, the Fairground neighborhood. And violent crime are things like rape, murder, aggravated assault, not all crime, just violent crime. So what happened? Well, they were able to use statistics from the Fairground neighborhood over years before they did the intention experiment to show that an upward trend in violence in Fairground, and they picked it because it was one of the most violent places in the United States. The murder rate was something like 15 times higher than New York City. That trend, upward trend in violent crime after the intention immediately began to go down. And 6 months later, it had dropped by 43%. Now, they used the other neighborhoods in the St. Louis area as the control group to say, well, maybe that reduction in violent crime was something that was happening citywide, but it wasn't. Fairground was the only neighborhood that experienced that type of drop in violent crime. So, as of now, McTaggart has conducted 42 intention experiments, and 38 of them demonstrated a measurable effect just from the power of people's intention. So whether you view this as proof or just an invitation to further research, we have to ask what happens when our attention becomes focused and unified, like a flashlight beam in the dark. Let's talk about why intention matters. Every day we are bombarded with information. There is more information coming at us than our brains can possibly absorb and process. And so, just for our own sanity, our brain has developed the ability to pick through what's coming at us and decide what to pay attention to and what to ignore. So, we filter all this information coming in, but are we choosing a filter consciously? Are we making a purposeful decision about what we notice and what we ignore and where we direct our attention? Are we allowing our attention to just scatter across, scrolling through social media and mind-numbing videos or endless streams of alarming headlines? Or are we using our intention to filter our attention into the areas that matter, into the areas that fulfill our purpose and drive us towards more meaning in life? And if you're confused about what your purpose is, and a lot of people are, that's also very common, I would offer this thought experiment from Stephen Covey, author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of my favorite books ever. But Covey invites us to think about our funeral. Imagine you are at your funeral. What do you want people to remember about you? What do you want people to say about you? Do you want to be remembered for your creativity, your service to others, your compassion, your courage? Reflect on what you want your life to mean. And as we gain clarity about our purpose, then we can make wise decisions about how to use this valuable attention that we have for the life that we have remaining. Now, intention is something we want to use like a compass to point us towards our North Star, our purpose, not a scorecard. That's where sometimes we can get waylaid when we set a goal to improve a habit and we fall short. It's because we're looking at it like a scorecard, like a pass-fail. And what we want to use intention for is to ask ourselves, not did I succeed or fail in my goal, but am I moving in the right direction? Now, I used the power of intention in my book, 8 Intentions for Self-Healing. And a lot of people ask me, well, what are the 8 intentions? So I'll share those with you. I intend to cultivate resilience to stress. I intend to elevate my vibrational frequency. I intend to focus my attention on what is important to me. I intend to embrace a growth mindset. I intend to release energetic blockages. I intend to nourish my body. I intend to move my body every day. And I intend to have meaningful connections with people in my life. And the way the book is structured, you tackle each one of those intentions in sequence. I have exercises and all kinds of practices and techniques you can use to implement that intention into your life. And as it becomes habitual, then you move on to the next intention. And notice these are not goals like I intend to lose so much weight by a certain date. It's more, like I said, about moving in the right direction. I intend to nourish my body. I intend to move my body every day. And if you fall short, which you will, we all fall short, that happens, speaking from experience, and intention is just a way to help you get back on track. And it's not something you can use to beat yourself up over because you fell short. That's going to happen. It's just something to use as, like I said, a compass to kind of get yourself back on track and moving in the right direction. Now, I want to talk about some research that's been done that kind of disparages the power of intention. And this is research that was done with something called random number generators. These are computers that are always generating zeros and ones, zeros and ones. It's kind of like a virtual coin toss, heads or tails, heads or tails. And they've done experiments where people have tried to use their intention to make the random number generator come up with more zeros or more ones to try to influence what the result is, because left on its own over a period of time, a random number generator is going to result in an equal number of zeros and ones. But we can try to influence that probability through intention. And some experiments have shown that it worked, and some experiments have shown that it didn't. So could it just be something that when it does work, it was researcher bias or a poorly run experiment? Here's where I think the missing ingredient comes in, and that is our emotion. If I'm participating in an experiment to influence the outcomes of zeros and ones, I don't have any emotional connection to that. So our intentions work a whole lot better when they are paired with our emotions, with a heartfelt desire. So, I want to tell you about some work that's being done by an organization called the Global Consciousness Project. Since 1998, they have placed random number generators all around the globe. And they have noticed that when an event occurs that has a widespread emotional response, so for example, the attack in Israel on October the 7th, 2023, or the attack on the World Trade Center, or a horrific natural disaster, all of a sudden, those random number generators go into coherence and the probability, the randomness drops away. And so the theory is because so many people around the world are having an emotional reaction to some event that is happening, those random number generators start to behave differently. So I believe emotion is the crucial ingredient. And I want to tell you about another experiment. This is one that I participated in 2025. It was run by the Heart Math Institute. They have one of the things they've been doing is they have these monitors on trees all around the world, and they're looking at how the tree responds to changes in its environment. And what they did in this experiment is for 4 days, they had the participants, there were about 300 of us, come together over a Zoom call, and we were looking at a live stream of a tree, sugar gum maple in California, and we were radiating love to the tree. And after 4 days, the scientists looked at what was happening from the monitor that was on that tree. And they compared it to monitors that were on three other trees, same type of tree, planted at the same time, near the sugar gum maple that we were intending to send love to. Those monitors did not register any change. So that shows you that when we are radiating love, loving kindness, compassion, we're tapping into those high vibe emotions. It really amplifies the power of our intention. And as I explain in my book, with the 8 intentions for self-healing, you want to start by examining your intentions. Are you intending to do something because you think it's good for you? Are you intending, for example, to lose weight because your doctor told you to, or you just, you should, but your heart's really in it? Or are you intending to find a better job because money's an issue for you, but you're really not motivated to go out and find another job? That lack of emotional commitment may be the difference in whether an intention leads you in the right direction or falls flat. So I like to think about intentions like an oar in a canoe. I talked about how you can stop drifting and start steering. When we tap into what is our purpose by looking at the end of our life and thinking about what we want to achieve, and we come up with an intention that moves us in that direction, and it's something that resonates with our heart, now our life is not like a canoe that's just drifting aimlessly with the ripples on the water, but it's consciously moving in the direction of where we want to go. When we learn to harness intention, we stop drifting and we start steering. So you may be asking yourself, how do I get started? Well, like I said, you want to tap into what is your intention in life, not what would be nice or what do you hope for, or what do you wish, or what are you afraid of, but what do you really want to get out of life? And maybe you have multiple intentions. Choose one, write it down, put it in a place where you can see it on a regular basis, and come back to that intention every day and ask yourself, am I focusing my flashlight of attention on moving forward with that intention, or am I just waving my flashlight around, paying attention to whatever I'm paying attention to? Because like I said earlier, there's more coming at us than what we can take in. How are you consciously filtering all of that data that's coming at you? Now, life rarely changes overnight. It takes a lot of micro adjustments to get back on course. So give yourself some grace. Recognize that there is a powerful biological force within us to repeat patterns because our body knows those patterns are safe. And we did it yesterday and we didn't die. So our body wants to say, let's just do that again because we survived yesterday. So let's just do what we did yesterday, do what we did before. But with intention, we can focus on moving in a direction that may be different from the patterns that make us feel safe, but it's so rewarding because we find ourselves making a difference, not only for ourselves and our life story, but for the people around us. The power of intention has always been in your hands. You just need to remember to use it. Thank you for joining me. Have a lovely day. Remember to intend peace, intend love, and intend well.